Hey guys, DJ here again. This video I'm just going to go over the new April 1st TCG Forbidden and Limited list, aka the ban list. I'm missing one of the cards, but I'm just going to go through, talk about everything and how I feel about the changes, plus just some insight on the format in general, I guess. The first thing, the two cards they banned are Morphing Jar and Morphing Jar number 2. I'm really happy that Morphing Jar is banned. This card's just incredibly degenerate. It doesn't really bring anything positive to the game. Most of what it's contributed have been FTKs and OTKs, and the other things it's done have been let people come back in the games they didn't deserve to win. So this card's had it coming for a long time, but the reasoning for banning these cards are the stupid Jackpot 7 OTK deck, which is just trash, and this is the bad way to play it anyway. The Dark Scorpion Burglars version is just so much better. So I think these were very poorly thought out bans, but I'm happy to see Morphing Jar go. Morphing Jar 2, I can't really say anything about it. It's really not an inherently unhealthy card. I don't really have any problems with it. It's good that they're preemptively trying to get rid of combo decks, but they did a very bad job on this. They definitely could have just banned better cards for it. Oh crap. I forgot to grab something. Just grab this. Then we go to the limited cards. The limited Wolfbark, Rekindling, and Gund. These two are hits to the really popular decks of this format, the Fire Fist and Mermail deck. Limiting Wolfbark is a good change. I mean, he's still highly searchable and still like very strong. Since he's not an on-summon effect, too, you can play like Hall of the Haunted or Circle of the Fire Kings to reuse him. So, I mean, if you wanted to keep playing Fire Fist, you could easily switch to like the mixed Axis deck and maybe even play Call to abuse Wolfbark. But even just playing one in there is very strong. This card's still good, and limiting him instead of Tenki is kind of a suspect choice. I can understand why they did it, because Tenki's not inherently broken in any way, but the consistency it gives decks like Boojins and stuff by comparison is kind of a big deal, which, again, a reason not to touch Tenki to keep that deck strong. Limiting Gund, it's, in theory, a very big hit to Mermails, but the deck is so good at searching and recurring it that it almost doesn't matter. Obviously, your deck's going to lose a little bit of consistency and a little bit of speed, but you still have a searchable, recurable Monster Reborn. Like, even in one, you're still going to get to this card. You're still going to use it as much as you need it to. And Rekindling Limit, I don't really know why they chose to do this now instead of for the past, since Levels came out, that this card has been this card was a problem before that even. Like, this card does what Return does for Fire decks. Like, you just play it and you just win for free sometimes. It's retarded. But I'm not sad to see it go by any means. At one, it's still going to steal games. It's still okay in the 3-axis Fire Fist deck if you think that's a thing. Which, I mean, it's totally playable, and you could definitely play this in there. So this is a change that I'm very happy about for the list. Very minimal on the limits, though. Like, and that's for a reason. Like, there's not much left in this format with the cards we have now until Primal Origin comes out, and then most of this won't matter anymore. That's just going to change a lot, and like a lot of the decks that we're playing now won't be relevant in any way, shape, or form. So, I mean, these are changes to hold us over for an extra month until the format gets shaken up by a release. And there is one other limit. It's the card I don't have. We'll just grab something upside down here. This should be the Infernity Barrier. Limiting Barrier is a good change. Infernities are a degenerate deck, obviously. Nobody wants to play against Infernities that go first and, you know, combo off, set 3 barriers and 2 Infernity breaks. But most of us were only playing 2 barriers anyway. So, like, this isn't the biggest hit to the deck. You could have, you know, hit something that actually just stops the deck from OTKing or stops the deck from making those fields in the first place rather than limiting Barrier. But, I mean, again, it's not a hit that I'm sad about. Those are the kind of decks that nobody wants to play against in a tournament. Like, it's just very, very nerve-wracking to sit down and know your opponent could just win the roll and not let you play the game ever. But this is not enough to, like, kill the deck necessarily. You can still play Infernities, you can still OTK, you can still set 3 breaks and a barrier, which is ridiculous to get over. But it is a blow to the deck. But as a whole, these limits are good. There's not enough done per se, but, you know, like I said, the game changes so much when Primal Origin comes out that I don't even care. In the semi-limits, they semi-limited Heretic Seal of Convocation and Necroface. I'm pretty sure this card just got re-unlimited from semi the last format. I might be off about that, but they keep dancing this around, and not really for much reason. Like, if Heretics are going to be good, they're going to be good whether this card's at 2 or 3. The engine's very strong. Like, the Heretic deck will be good for the first couple weeks of the format until Primal Origin comes out. It's a fine deck. It's the best way you can play your Dragon Rollers, really. But I don't have too much to say about that. It's a nerf to Heretics consistency, which as an OTK deck, that's great. As the Dragon Roller deck, it's fine. Like, the deck obviously doesn't need to exist. And then Necroface the 2. I don't know what happens with this, I'll be honest. This is a very, very strong card in a lot of strange strategies. Decks can be built around it for sure, and I'm hoping something awesome happens with it. I don't have any ideas, I'll be honest, but it is a very cool card. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it, so I hope someone breaks it. But in my head, this is a fine semi-limit. I don't think it's going to ruin anything, and if it does, we'll find out shortly. And then 2 cards got unlimited. Stone Excavation and Primal Seed. Stone Excavation doesn't do anything. This card hasn't been a problem for years. There's not even any problem cards to get back with it anymore, really. Like, so many power spells are just banned, or even, like, Rekindling is limited. Like, you just can't abuse this card the way you could in the past. The game is so much less based around, like, power spells. But having this back at 3 isn't going to change anything, really. Like, no one's going to summon a Diamond Dew to hit a Stone Excavation and just win the game because of it. That's not the game anymore. So it's fine to see this back. It's good to get cards off the list. In an ideal world, we'd have, you know, a lot of the bulk off of the list and just ban the real problems. And then the last card is Primal Seed. This card is bad and should feel bad. It doesn't matter if it's at 3. Yes, there are infinites with it now, with something like having Macrocosmos up, BLS in play, and like 2 Primal Seeds. But like, if your opponent has established that field on turn 1, like, good for that. Like, they'd have to play Banisher or Radiance to go off on turn 1, their first turn, to kill you with it. So if they can establish a board of Banisher, BLS, double Primal Seed burn spell and kill you like that, good on them. Like, I don't care. This isn't a real problem. Like, obviously, FTKs shouldn't exist in the game, but like, Primal Seed's not the problem. BLS is, if anything. Like, so we could ban BLS and put Primal Seed at 3 all day. So, I mean, this is fine at 3. Like, obviously, the infinite existing isn't good for the game, but it's so bad that it doesn't matter. If you lose to this, I'm sorry, I probably lied to you then, but it's poop. Don't worry about it. Another big thing for this list is what they didn't hit. Like I said, it's just a holdover until we get new cards, but they totally ignored hitting the Bujin deck and the Yugioh deck. The Bujin deck, it's not a big deal. The deck's not broken, the deck's not unfair, but it is the most unfun Yu-Gi-Oh deck that I've ever seen. Playing it's boring, playing against it is boring. You don't want to be on either sides of the table in that matchup. So it just, to me, it's irritating, but as a balanced decision, it makes sense. Like, there's no problems with it. But the big one from a balance standpoint is they didn't touch Yugioh at all. Yugioh was one of the strongest decks prior to the ban list. Like, well, you know, Fire Fist had 3 of these, Mermails had 3 of these, Heretics had 3 of these. And Yugioh is still, you know, one of the best 3-4 decks, if not the best deck. It's ridiculously consistent. It can OTK, it gets so much card advantage, and it can play a lot of back row while doing all of it. So I think that was a big mistake, and I think we'll see a lot of Yugioh for the first bit of the format. So that's one thing definitely to prepare for when you're building decks at the start of the format. The Yugioh deck and the Bujin deck, since not only were they very strong last format, but they didn't lose anything while other decks did. Moving forward, I think, like, when you're building and testing, think about those. Think about the Mermail deck. It's still very good. Think about Dragon variants. They're still okay. The Heretic deck still does everything it did before. The Mythic Roller deck is still okay. You can definitely do something with it. Obviously, it didn't lose anything from the list, but it was already a very niche meta call that most of the time wasn't very good. But it was a very minimal list. We didn't get many changes, and it makes sense that we didn't, because Primal Origin will completely change the metagame. It's very good to see something degenerate gone, like Morphing Jar, so that's always a plus. And it's very good to see Rekindling not at 3. But as a whole, this list didn't do much. It did really almost nothing. So for a month we have to deal with it. The metagame gets totally changed when the next set comes out. And then we have that all the way through US Nationals. So we're going to have a long time to play with that set and tune with that stuff to really get a grasp on the metagame before Nationals, which is good. So that's it for the ban list. I'm going to make more videos about decks and different things preparing for the format, and I'll try to get those up as quickly as I can. So yeah, other than that, just, you know, let me know what you guys think about the list down below, and thanks for watching.